Hello and welcome back to the channel. Unless you're new, then welcome. Today we are doing a full-on lore deep dive on how I became an influencer and how much my life has changed since that started. I've been reflecting quite a bit because this time last year, at like the beginning of August, was like a big kind of turning point for content and my life, and things change so quickly, and I feel like I haven't really gone into depth on what that was like. So we're doing that today. I have some notes here because there are some talking points I don't want to forget. So to set the scene of last year, I was just working my last shift at Domino's. So 1 year ago, I was still working at Domino's. If you don't know that lore, I was a Domino's pizza delivery driver for like 5 years, a really long time. And yeah, I had my last shift about a year ago because I started actually making money on social media and I didn't need to work that job full time anymore. I was living with my mom and my brothers. We were in a kind of less than comfortable situation, to say the least. I did not have my own room. I was paying very cheap rent and that was all I could afford, but I was sleeping on the floor. I was either sleeping on the floor or I was sleeping on the couch. My youngest brother and I, we shared the living room. And so there was just like a big lack of space for everyone involved. And it was pretty hard, but it definitely wasn't the hardest thing. I think that was a very kind of understandable position or phase maybe to be in life. And Zala and her nails clacking against the floor. Hi, Zala. You wanna say hi? Come here. Look at this big girl. Say hi, YouTube. Okay. She's shedding a lot right now. Anyway, yeah, I would say there's nothing about my situation that felt awful. Excuse me. And if you're in a similar position now, I don't think that's anything to be embarrassed of. I wasn't embarrassed of it. Fast forward to today, I live alone. I have a dog. I am comfortable enough supporting myself and a dog. I have a beautiful apartment. I have plants. I have everything I could need. And it was a rapid, like almost 180 of what my life looked like. And I owe it all to everyone who watches my content, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, any platform. It is all because of the support that I've received in the last year and a half. So thank you very, very much for being here and for caring enough to hear my story. I'm already sweating. So the purpose of today really is just to share my story. This isn't going to be like a tutorial by any means. There is no path to success that I'm trying to sell or anything like that. This is just how it happened to me, and maybe some aspects of the story might be relatable to you. Maybe you can learn from it. But yeah, go ahead and grab a snack or a protein shake and get comfortable. So I first started posting content in about 2022, but it was so unserious. It was just like messing around on TikTok. Actually, most of my videos were in the Domino's uniform, and I was kind of just sparsely sharing progress and really random stuff. Like I wouldn't even really call it content, but that was when I started posting, I guess, myself. That's when McSchnizzle was born. McSchnizzle was the OG TikTok username. By the way, that was my PlayStation Network username. It has no meaning whatsoever. I was just like 14 years old and I was like trying to come up with the username and it kind of stuck. My name's Keiani. McSchnizzle means nothing. Anyway, right, so I was posting on TikTok. As you might already guess, I was a full-time Domino's employee. I was also going to community college for a bit. That was tricky. I eventually dropped out after about 3 semesters because balancing my bills, living paycheck to paycheck, working full-time, and trying to be engaged with school was just too much for me, and I eventually dropped out and prioritized affording my bills. I would love to go back to school. That's a whole separate topic, but that is how that went for myself. Eventually, I picked up a second job. I started working at Latour Cafe. Shout out Latour, love that job. But yeah, I was working random off like second jobs. I even worked at Chili's for a little bit, which is hilarious. Hi, welcome to Chili's. There were most weeks where I worked 7 days. So I didn't even have an off day. I would work double shifts all through the weekend. I was grinding as much as I could and still didn't even have like a savings account. Like that is just how rough it can be supporting yourself as a young adult. And at this point, I was never really one to follow like influencers or be really involved in the fitness industry really at all. I didn't know anything about the industry aside from like Lean Beef Patty, obviously. Like, of course I followed her. She's super inspirational. But other than that, I was like not really checked into like influencer culture, or even just like the culture of the content, if that makes sense. It was all foreign to me. But I was working so much and I was feeling run down just emotionally. I felt so stagnant. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life or how I was going to get out of the position I was in. And one of my coworkers actually was a little bit more involved in like fitness content and knew more about influencers than I did. And I was just talking to him one day about how much I'm working and how I don't know what I'm doing with my life, etc. And he told me that I should just try posting content and I should do, push my fitness videos and just see what happens. And I remember the advice that really stuck with me was that he said, you already know how to make pizzas, you already know how to make burgers, whatever I was making at the cafe, and you might as well try something new and just see where it takes you. And wow, shout out to him. That changed the entire trajectory of my life. From there, I invested in a camera. This was a really big purchase for me at the time. It was a Sony ZV-1. That's the camera I used for my first YouTube video. That was about 1.5 years ago, that one hiking video. I also filmed a flexing video for Instagram. And I remember now we're looking at like October 2023. I posted that flexing video that I took with the new camera. And that was the first time that something I had posted on Instagram like blew up, hit the algorithm, and just like followers were coming in by the thousands. It was very affirming because that being the first video that I was like, yeah, let's try this. And the fact that it took off, one, I'm extremely lucky. It does not work out that way for most people, but I decided to stick with it from there. And yeah, that was October 2023. And I'd say in the next 5 to 6 months, I blew up, like astonishingly so. It was overwhelming, but my first YouTube video, after about a month or 2 months of it being posted, there were like edits being made of that video, and it was like I had this snowball effect of bringing in new viewers, and my face was just trending. It was a little absurd for me, but it thrusted me into the fitness space. It gave me so many opportunities, and so strange to me because I feel like I was really awkward in that video. I still feel like I'm awkward, and I remember even just the act of like filming that video felt so foreign to me. I was like, hi everyone, I'm going on a hike. I posted about this on Instagram and I got a few questions about like, how do you get over the fear of judgment when posting? And I have a lot of advice on this. I want to say first and foremost, the fear of judgment at its root comes from insecurity. So the more you like yourself, the less you need other people to like you. Understanding that at its core and maybe learning to love and like yourself first that would be step number one. The other thing is understanding that people are going to judge you regardless, and this is some really basic like advice that I hear a lot. It's like, everyone's going to judge you anyway, so just do it. It's like, yes, that's true, but a different way of framing it that I found has been really helpful for me is, let's say I'm at the gym and I need to film a video, but there's people around. I'm like, they're gonna judge me. Let's say I saw a girl or a person at the gym and I noticed she was filming a video. Would I care? Not remotely. I would not care at all. So this voice that we often have in our heads of judgment from the people around us is imaginary. That's actually you judging yourself in third person in a weird way. Where like you're kind of making up that mean voice in your head, and you are the source of that. So think about that. Posting on the internet is going to invite lots of hate, lots of love too. You're going to see both ends of the spectrum, I think, regardless of what you post or who you are, and that is just the nature of being on the internet. And when someone has something to say about you, 99% of where that comes from is from within themselves and actually has nothing to do with you. Just be yourself. I'll leave it at that. I could get even deeper on this, but I feel like I've rambled enough on that topic, so let's move on. I'm not even gonna lie, I am sweating. I closed my window because I get a lot of noises coming from outside. I wanted to keep the audio controlled, but it's hot. I don't have AC in my apartment, so it's really hot. So back to the actual path of becoming an influencer. It was after about 4 to 5 months post like blow up that Gymshark had signed me as an athlete. Now, that was like the big one. Thank you, Gymshark. Code Keiani 10 to save. I remember going out to Denver and seeing the office, and you know, they paid for my flight, got me a hotel and everything, and it was like jarring. Definitely. I was like, wow, I'm still sleeping on the floor back at home. I was like living this weird double life. Like, that is kind of a dramatic way to put it, but it was so new and so fast for me. I was saving my money. I was apartment hunting. My mom and my brothers were moving as well, so I kind of had to I had to get something figured out. And I found this apartment, and it's been amazing. I traveled more than ever in my life in the last year. I found a puppy. Having these opportunities has also allowed me to be more dedicated in the gym than ever. I completely understand the stress of working full-time and not having either the energy or the time to go to the gym or to fuel yourself properly and to be getting the meals in that you need to get in to make progress. And I'm extremely fortunate now that I have as much time as I need to do those things. So what's next? I don't really know. I'm really a go with the flow person, and that's kind of what I've been doing. I do understand, however, that the life of an influencer is not necessarily a sustainable one. I'm not going to be relevant forever. It's been an amazing gift to have some spare time now where I can now calculate what the next move is for me, and I want to go back to school, but I am really enjoying this chapter of life right now. Living a slow life, hanging out with my dog, going hiking, making gains, reading my books. Yeah, it's absolutely wild what social media can do for a person. It was never really part of my plan, but I do not intend on taking it for granted. And lately I've been really loving actually being a little bit more creative with my videos, getting into color grading, learning more about cameras. I got an upgraded camera. I really love that aspect of content creating because throughout high school, actually, I was in a film club. So film is something that's always interested me, and it's really cool to be able to apply what I learned in film club now into my content. And yeah, we're gonna keep growing in whatever way that might be. And thank you again for being here and for watching and supporting. As always, don't forget to lift, laugh, and love. See you in the next video. Bye. Oh gosh, I can't even reach. Oh, damn, it's not gonna work. Bye.